Hello my friends, Russell Wright here, and I want to talk to you about AI today. This is an update, and I decided to do something a little bit different and just go outside in nature. Drove my truck out here, or actually Kaylin's truck, and I wanted to talk to you about what's happening in Wall Street right now with AI. And I'm a little bit in the middle of nowhere, so I'm hoping that everything will be in sync, but if it's not, you can translate. So some of you might have noticed that Wall Street is going crazy, and the predicted investor naysaying on AI has started. And I want to give you guys a nice interpretation of what's happening, this idea of $1 trillion losses on Wall Street. So we're going to talk about the dot-com boom, and then we're going to talk about the AI boom and what's called the Garter hype cycle that a lot of the news anchors are using for this. It's so funny to see these like 20-something-year-olds that are like anchoring news talking about the Garter hype cycle as if it matters right now, and it doesn't. So please understand that what's happened on Wall Street is that Wall Street is run by investors, and investors are very focused on getting their money back as quickly as possible. Well, this was true in the dot-com boom as well. And so one of the things I want you to know is that rereading Peter Thiel's 0 to 1 and understanding what's actually going on will help you a lot. Even though that book's 10 years old, there's very few people who understand Silicon Valley as well as Peter Thiel. And on top of that, Peter Thiel sneezes and pulls a large chunk of his money out of SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, and the whole bank collapses. Okay. Now this speaks to something more interesting than just AI, which is the $1 trillion tech bros. Now that they all have their money and they see the flailing economy, meaning they see the petrodollar buckling, all of these guys are involved in wanting to keep their money. So let's stick with AI, and I'll talk to you guys. I've gotten a lot of feedback on this type of format of video, and you guys seem to like it. So something has really changed and shifted, and we need more transparent experts out there just talking like a normal person to you, instead of trying to sell you a bridge every 10 seconds. So here's what I have to say. This is not a hype cycle. The Garter hype cycle matters when it comes to certain kinds of technologies. AI is not one of them. So keep in mind that we are in the middle of a gigantic psychological operation with artificial intelligence, but the economy booming is a huge side effect of that. And the investors who put their money in over the last couple of years are just deciding they want real application on the ground. So what they're doing is they're comparing the AI ROI for apps like Uber or YouTube or anything else like that. In other words, the value that consumers get from it after all the language learning model hype has disappeared, and all these millions of apps have gotten on the market. Most of them doing the same thing. And what they do is basically, it's just about a user creating a login like you do in Claude or ChatGPT, and then just typing the language learning model. And of course, how many of those types of apps do you need? How many types of apps do you need, like the ones that I've given you guys as a part of your membership, as just a part of it? All these cool apps that can do cool AI things, Dolly, pull out super realistic AI images and all these things. For me, these are just tools. These are not the core of business. And so what's happened is the investors who've been doing this feeding frenzy, very similar to what Silicon Valley did, okay, during the dot-com boom, is everybody's gone crazy, like the crazy valuations of all these companies, all these AI companies, like here comes everybody, right? Well, what happens is there is a bit of a hype cycle, but that's not the consumer hype cycle. That's the investor hype cycle, okay? So the investor hype cycle is, okay, it's been a couple years, we're not seeing much of a return. Not only that, our user numbers are not staying up. We don't have enough users. Well, what's going on is that there's too many of the apps doing the same thing, okay? So how many subscriptions to a language learning model do you really need, right? We have ChatGPT, we have Claude, we have Text Cortex, which is one of our partners. You have all these different tools out there. Well, the problem is everybody's doing the same thing. We've positioned you guys in the middle of the AI revolution, and we know what's not going to go away, which is search. Okay, search engines are going to become answer engines, but the underlying technology is the same. Okay, so that's what I want you to understand about this $1 trillion. The bet of this $1 trillion loss on Wall Street, that OpenAI, Sam Altman, everybody else, including Microsoft and Google, they're betting on the next generation, which is AGI. And guys, that's here. So I want you to understand that alpha proof, which is a computational function even greater than some of the other like Wolfram technologies out there, AI is becoming computational. And I want you guys to understand a major picture here, okay? The more computational and towards Q star, that's why we call our membership area Q star in the AI section of Mighty Networks in our network. The more computational AI gets, the more it becomes the military industrial program, okay? If you guys haven't seen my video on my background in information warfare, electronic warfare and cryptology, please do see that video. I was in the US Navy in the 90s, intelligence, electronic warfare, cryptology. My barracks is now called IWTC, Information Warfare Tech Pensacola. There's also one in Virginia. Yeah, I've got a background in intelligence. So I'm coming from that perspective, a combination of business advice, intelligence, Department of Defense, information war, which is related to marketing, by the way. Remember, the first function of marketing was Sigmund Freud's son. I can't remember his name, but he actually created the first book on propaganda, which later became marketing, okay? So these things are all connected in weird ways. So main thing for you to understand is that the more ChatGPT consumer-grade language learning models grow, the more classified they become. That's why OpenAI is now closed AI, and this is why we're only hearing part of the story, okay? The real part of the story, if you look at the creator of the Oculus technology purchased by Mark Zuckerberg, he has actually moved to the Department of Defense. A lot of these AI and VR companies are going to where the money is the most flowing, where money flows the most, which is in the adult industry and the Department of Defense. So a lot of these guys, including the creator of Oculus, found out, okay, we reached a market cap on, how many teenagers and people only staying inside a virtual reality headset for an hour or less before they get a terrible headache, how much money can you make when the market has all those kinds of problems? Consumer VR is not what most of us knew it was not going to be the mission that Mark Zuckerberg was going to make his next big thing, okay? The next big thing, including the guy who created the Oculus, is Department of Defense, artificial intelligence, and free roaming agents and robots that can make command and military decisions on their own. Additionally, command and military decisions made on business fronts. You're going to have robot CEOs. You're going to have multimodal. So this is what I want you to understand that's happening in the stock market right now. Is the stock market is only reacting and calling it a hype cycle to the consumer grade language learning models because everybody is just a trickle down app from OpenAI or from Claude, okay? Those guys were the first adapters and they've made the most amount of money, and they're the ones who've given us a $19 a month subscription. Perplexity is another one, not far behind, which I think Perplexity is far more powerful than those other two. That's why you guys should take our information gain program about how to create retrieval augmented search optimization functions for your content. That's where you want to strike hard. Okay? And we're going to be teaching you that over the next couple of years. So what you need to understand is that these apps, including the apps that I give you guys as part of your membership at Agency Elite, Super Intelligent AI, these are just side tools that you should be using to supplement or augment your own marketing and or SEO skills. AI is not in a hype cycle, far from it. The individual applications that borrow from OpenAI and borrow from Claude and borrow from the large language learning models, they are completely done with the hype cycle, meaning the consumer, in other words, here comes everybody. Every single app company, startup in the world that's trying to create an app similar to ChatGPT is just regurgitating it with some spin. Okay, they're just making some unique aspect of it. They're trying to just basically do the same thing, but it's already been done. And so the investors are calling in their chips, and they're just saying, hey, there's not enough users. Because users only have so much money in your bank account every month. This is why we're providing you with a bunch of AI tools to be included. That's not how you run a business. So Wall Street is buckling under the weight of a lot of investors hoping their investments would pay off, but really what you just have is millions of little mini clones or mini OpenAIs out there with apps expecting you to pay a monthly subscription, but you've already got the services and you already have the functions, okay? So what's really about to happen? Where's the money really? OpenAI has military contracts now. A lot of these guys are moving to the Department of Defense. A lot of investors prefer to put money in the Department of Defense. And that's where all of it's going. That should make you nervous. Yeah, I mean, I know how all that stuff works from my military days. Okay? But you should not be in the least bit concerned. You can watch Sam Altman, Elon Musk, all of these guys. The race for AI supremacy is AGI, artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligence. They've always been betting on that. Okay, in fact, I'll include a video of Sam Altman saying, I don't care how much investors have paid. I don't care how much money it takes. I don't care how profitable it is. Everything we're doing, profitable or non-profitable, in this AI initial phase is to build artificial general intelligence and ASI, or artificial superintelligence. Now guys, I've known that from the beginning. That's why we named our company super-intelligent.ai. And SEO is the most appropriate bridge from the now surfing of the web, the now web interactions. In other words, Team Human now. The transition for Team Human from language learning model artificial intelligence to general artificial intelligence and then superintelligence is going to be search. I'm going to say that again. The bridge, why we call ourselves super intelligent AI, from language learning models of basic artificial intelligence to artificial general intelligence, and then the next leap, stop, the next stone across the creek, I guess you would say. 1, 2, 3. I'm out in nature now, so the stepping stones across the creek or across the gap of culture is going to be language learning models, and then they're just going to become embodied. This is what the Tesla bots are about. This is what the OpenAI. It's going to be a very crazy time, guys. Remember, robotics is not even included in the losses with this last $1 trillion hype cycle. You need to let go of Wall Street with the hype cycle and just understand that as soon as these things are embodied, my vision for our company would be to prepare you guys for a robot sitting at a desk in your office. Okay, butt in seat robot doing your marketing for you. Okay, you guys may think I'm crazy right now, but I've already seen this in action. Adobe is already using that. This is why they're letting go of so many people. People are going to get really strange around this kind of stuff because computational, what we call alpha proof, Google's alpha proof just passed the silver level of mathematical proofs on its own. Okay, it's solving mathematical problems. We have AlphaFold that's solving the protein problems. Guys, the hype cycle on Wall Street is simply about consumer application being too wide, too many people creating the same stuff across too many applications. But while that $1 trillion temporary lull happens, all of the real power is moving towards the Department of Defense investments, things that you can't see. It's a hedge fund. It's blended into all the other apps. You can't see, for example, how many of you knew that the Oculus creator now is forming a military company? Okay, in other words, the headset that my kids play on sometimes called Oculus and shoot and cut and hang out inside of a virtual space, all that technology is rapidly being accelerated and moved into the Department of Defense for drone warfare, virtual reality warfare, where half the soldiers eventually are not even going to know that they're shooting at real people. They're just playing a game. Okay? So let's not be naive of where everything is going, but here's the huge plan for you guys and for us. Part of the reason I will continue to throw in all the toys that you need, like in the fastsites.ai function, which is our company. Okay, we're building white label partners across all these things. You want a chat bot? We'll help you get it in there. But that shouldn't be mistaken for running an agency or running a business. However, a few years out, I'll be able to send you a robot that sits butt in seat in your office and manages a lot of campaigns and manages all the things. And whatever the coin of the realm, whatever the marketing of the realm, whatever the SEO of the realm is, which is going to be SEO to AEO, search engines to answer engines, you guys will have made the transition and understand how all of this works. I know it sounds crazy, the idea that there's going to be robots doing knowledge worker stuff in your office, as well as brain and a vat kind of AI that's actually, just a language learning model doing research. ChatGPT 5.0 is coming out very shortly. Guys, this stuff is already solving massive computational math, including folding proteins that we haven't been able to solve on our own. It's all there. Now, is this going to be brought down to the consumer level so that you can just log in and do research on this kind of stuff? This is military grade stuff, guys. Okay, they've already got a lot of it. You'll see some of this starting to leak out, and the relationships that we have with a lot of these companies, and we continue to build these, we want to bring it down to the consumer level. But the best way for you to start thinking about AI is, robots. You will have a physical embodied robot that you can teach to do some of this stuff. And it's not designed to replace you. Okay, this is the philosophy. We're on Team Human, but to act as an extension of your own entrepreneurship. Okay, depending upon where the economy goes and the rest, you'll have everything that you need to, if you think in terms of embodiment of AI, you'll be able to think in terms of how to manage your business. You won't abdicate this weird BS marketing that AI is suddenly going to do all of the work for you as a brain in a vat. When I say brain in a vat, meaning a language learning model doesn't have arms, doesn't have eyes, it doesn't have the ability to move around, but the Boston Dynamics robots do. Okay, the Tesla robots do. Okay, and they're moving very, very quickly. When that comes out, you've got a whole bunch of more information. Instead of just having all the information parsed on the planet, which is, they're done with that. They've actually parsed all available information in the public space. As a result, there's nothing left for the robots to parse except classified layers of the dark web. Okay, and the classified language learning models can do that, the CIA, NSA, okay? But the next step is real-time in the world, 24/7 surveillance with your own robot. Sure, it's going to come out to the military, but think about this. If you've got a robot walking around out there with cameras and microphones, it can hear and see things in real time and make decisions based on that. So think of the next phase of AI as all of these eyes and ears of these embodied robots, these individual agents that are also connected to the agent swarms on the language learning models worldwide, being able to take real action in the real world with you. If I got a flat tire, okay, I'll be able to open the door, let the robot out, okay, and it'll change the tire for you. Additionally, it'll let me know what type of tire I have, when the last time it was changed. It can remind me when to change that tire. It can make a phone call and call ahead to the tire place. It'll actually have those on reserve. It can control my reorders of all the parts, the oil filters, everything I need in my truck. Guys, this stuff's already being built. I've seen some of it. Okay, it'll manage my maintenance of my truck. Okay, it'll tell me when it's time for me to trade in my GMC or Kaylin's GMC. It'll tell me what the best deals. It'll do the shopping for me. Don't call me, I'll call you. My robot will talk to your robot. And it's not just language learning, disembodied AI brains in a vat, okay, which is like language learning models. It's a login area. It will be embodied agents. Currently, the price estimation for Tesla launching next year to buy one of these robots that are partially multimodal. Multimodal means ears, eyes, and the ability to move around, is less than $20,000. One of the quotes of a Class A Tesla bot is $12,000. Okay? So I want you guys to know what's coming. The whining investors on Wall Street who are saying AI is a hype cycle, they're just mad because here came everybody and they all created their own version of ChatGPT, which is a language learning model, and we only need a couple of those. Okay? So the war, can I get in? The war is over embodiment robots. That's what they're not telling you. Okay? So that's my update. Please do log into your membership area and see all the recent updates. And if you're new and you're seeing this out in the wild, do feel free to join us at members.super-intelligent.ai. We're an SEO and digital marketing company that also has a huge eye on the future for Team Human. And we're preparing for the dawn of the robots and how to get them to work for us, and how they are all just an extension of your own intellect and your own business agenda and your own hopes and dreams. And we'll work together for oversight as well as hope, with all this transformation and change coming down the pike. Thanks, guys.